Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Triple Threat Show. We are your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. Welcome in, everybody. Can't wait to show you what we have today. A lot of big stuff around the NFL. Micah Parsons potentially on the move. A big contract for the best safety in the NFL. And a bunch of big trades as well. We'll talk about all of that. Before we do, remember, you can find us everywhere on the podcast platforms. That's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that you get your audio podcasts, as well as on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. Go give us a follow over there. We're putting out good stuff every day. But we're going to jump into the NFL here because with the season right around the corner, that's right, 8 days from NFL football now. It is right here. I can taste it. I can see opening kickoff. It is right here. And we're going to start off with the big news. Micah Parsons, guys. Micah Parsons is the biggest story remaining of the offseason. We got the final storylines with Terry McLaurin. His contract details came out. We got the final storyline with Trey Hendrickson. He got his money with the Bengals. Now it is just one man left, and that one has become quickly uglier and uglier. A situation that I expected to be done, buried by the time the season started, is only really starting to heat up now. There was buzz last night, deep into the night, that the Green Bay Packers were going to make a move for Micah Parsons. There was reportedly a trade on the table involving 2 first-round picks going to the Cowboys, along with an edge rusher. That seems to be what the Cowboys were looking for, and a $45 million deal in the works for Micah Parsons from the Green Bay Packers. That is a blockbuster of a move if it happens. Not only are you moving, in my opinion, the second best defensive player in the world right now in Micah Parsons, but you are adding him to a team that could desperately use him. The Packers are a pass rusher away from being a serious threat in the NFC. If they got Micah Parsons, they skyrocket up the boards. The Cowboys, on the other hand, without Micah Parsons, they plummet severely. This is a guy that is going to make or break a season for whatever team he is on. He is that special of a player. He is dangerously close to getting moved, which I think would be one of the biggest blunders in NFL history. Jerry Jones is getting old. He is getting a little bit washed when it comes to that GM stuff, right? This is a big mistake that he is considering making. We talk about it all the time with the Trey Hendrickson contract, with the Terry McLaurin contract. You pay your guys early so you don't get to this situation where you don't want to pay them all this money. He could have paid Micah Parsons $30 million last season and walked away happy as the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. Instead, now it's got to be $15 million higher. Talk to me, Mehrob. What does this situation have, and how is it going to get resolved?
I mean, when we're talking about this deal, I want to take a back step really quick. This is something that we see all the time with Jerry Jones. He loves to, every time one of these players that wants the next biggest contract, for example, Dak Prescott, for example, Ezekiel Elliott a few years ago, Amari Cooper, whenever these guys want money, he always makes them wait. He always plays the long game. He says, pump the brakes. I'm going to do this on my time. He ends up paying them. Emmitt Smith back in the day, if you want to go way back, I'll pay you, but you're going to do this on my time. You're going to go out there and you're going to have to sit there and wait this out. And he plays the waiting game forever. Is this another one of those situations? I'm not sure, because this is a guy, Micah Parsons, that wants to be out there on the field in the middle of his prime. A lot of people are talking about him like he's the next big defensive end out there. So across the board, this is something that if it does end up going down, if it ends up being a waiting game, I would not be shocked if Micah Parsons just requests a trade and says, pay me or trade me immediately, and puts a time lapse on it.
So I think what you're bringing up is important, Mehrob, because that is something that is a valid point. Jerry Jones has a habit of waiting till the last second. You talk about in the most recent memories of this, CeeDee Lamb last year, Dak Prescott a couple years ago, even before that, Ezekiel Elliott. You can go further back, all of these guys that held out deep into training camp. But this is a little different. There is more animosity here between Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones than there has been between a lot of these other guys. And on top of all of that, this is the deepest into the offseason that it has been. It's not even the offseason anymore. The preseason is done. Training camp is done. 53-man rosters are set. We are officially in the NFL season at this point, and this holdout continues. This is a little bit of a different situation. And usually I'm on the side that you're on, Mehrob, where I'm saying it's not a big deal. They'll get it figured out. And generally, I agree. It's not a big deal. They'll get it figured out. But a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. And this seems like there is a heck of a lot of smoke, Nolan, around Micah Parsons potentially not being a Cowboy anymore.
I mean, seeing if I woke up one day and saw a Twitter notification from Adam Schefter or any of those outs NFL insiders and seeing Micah Parsons has been traded to so and so the Packers, I quite frankly think it was an April Fool's joke. I really cannot see Micah Parsons being in any other uniform besides that star. I mean, he's like their staple guy. He is the staple. He is the most known guy I probably think on that defensive side of the ball. He's their staple on the defensive side of the ball as well. I mean, losing Micah Parsons would be the absolute worst thing for the Cowboys, in my opinion. I mean, him going to the Packers as well would suck for me because I would have to see him twice a year against Green Bay. I wouldn't want to see that as a Lions fan. Respectfully, he's too good of a player for me to want to see that. But it would work out for him because like you said, the Packers have been they haven't had really an elite edge rusher in a while. I'd take it back to probably Clay Matthews, who is probably their one of their best outside linebacker edge rusher type of guy they had for a little while. He was always injured, but when he was on the field, he was making great plays. And Micah Parsons, he's definitely better than Clay Matthews was and ever will be, honestly. But it's just seeing Micah not in the Dallas uniform would just be straight up weird. I mean, he will stand out. I'll be very surprised if Jerry Jones lets him walk. There's no way he's like Mehrob said. He likes to wait it out. There's no way he lets the best defensive player, possibly the best defensive player in the world, walk out. There's no way. And the Cowboys have the money. They have billions of dollars. They can spend money. But they choose to not want to. And Jerry Jones, he's like you've said, he's made some questionable choices over the years, and this, quite frankly, letting it go on this long is, quite frankly, the most questionable he's ever made. Will he stay in Dallas? Yes. It's just weird that he's been holding out this long, and the Cowboys haven't figured it out by now.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo all your sentiments, guys. I agree. I think this deal gets done September 3rd at midnight, right? Game day, basically, when they face off against the Eagles. But let's play pretend for a second. Let's play a little hypothetical game. We talk about this Cowboys team with and without Micah Parsons, right? Micah Parsons is the difference between this team being a 10-win team and a 5-win team. That's how big of a difference maker that he is. You talk about how that defense would be with and without him. You talk about a defense being, I won't say top 5, but arguably could be top 10 with Micah Parsons playing at his best. Without him, the injuries in that secondary, everything just gets even more focus on it, and that defense, as we saw last year, has lots of holes in it when Micah Parsons isn't healthy. That is the difference between this Cowboys team making the playoffs and having yet another disappointing season. Let's play this game, Mehrob. What is this meaning for the Cowboys team with and without Micah Parsons? How big of a factor is he for the Cowboys' success this year?
Oh, he needs to be there. You need Micah Parsons on that front line. You lost DeMarcus Lawrence. That front line is going to be young. It's going to need a leader. It's going to need somebody that can get pressure on the quarterback and that can just wreak havoc for that offensive line. Take some of that glare off of the rookies to grow and improve, so they can kind of do their thing, but they need a focal point in a Micah Parsons on the other side. I mean, you have Trayvon Diggs on the back line, of course. You still have Deron Bland that's still there. But Micah Parsons definitely like I said, you lost DeMarcus Lawrence. When you're looking across that Cowboys back line, or honestly defense in general, you're looking like at a mediocre team at best over there. Of course, you have Trayvon Diggs, but without Micah Parsons, it it goes down pretty quickly. And you're looking at you might have the Cincinnati Bengals teams out there that can produce 40 points while you're giving up 40 points. The Cowboys are more like a 20, 25 maybe points while giving up 30, 35 points. So when you're looking on both sides, it just you're going to be in a really tough spot if you don't sign Micah Parsons. You didn't get a running back. You didn't key on much of the offensive issues, any of the offensive line issues. You need that defensive line. You need that defense to produce as much as it can, and it starts with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we're going to keep playing pretend here, and we're going to look at it from a Packers perspective, Nolan. This is a Packers team that I personally have missing the playoffs at 8-9, although a lot of analysts will tell you differently, that this is a Packers team that's the third best in the NFL, that this is a Packers team that's going to be a favorite to come out of the NFC, which I think a little bit crazy, getting a little bit carried away there. But that's been the trend with the experts now. But what kind of difference would a Packers team with and without Micah Parsons be to them this season?
Yeah, I mean, without him, we'll start without him. They're still going to be, they're not they're a good defensive team. They got guys, they got, they got Xavier McKinney. They got Quay Walker. They have good defensive players, but they just don't have, necessarily enough type of, they don't have enough in the front. They have, they have good players, Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, but that's not going to win you football games. If you get a guy like Micah Parsons to bring him in and take one of their spots, you have a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL on your team, adding to and putting an elite starter in your backfield, your linebacker core, and your front 3, whatever type of core you're running. You're having an elite player at each position, each depth of that defensive side of the ball, and you're going to win games. I don't think you're going to come out of the NFC. I don't think they're that good. Even if they get Micah Parsons, I don't think they'll come out of the NFC. Can they come out of the NFC North, though, with Micah Parsons? That's more of a possibility. I really think they could. They have a really good offense. Jordan Love, he's improved tremendously. They have great offensive players. They're adding him on defense will just make their defense and their team overall just so much better. So if they add him, NFC North, could they win the NFC North? Most likely. Win the NFC? No. But if they don't add him, they won't win the NFC North. They definitely won't win the NFC. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, let's stick in the NFC North here because outside of Micah Parsons, there was some other big news today. Adam Thielen, a homecoming back to Minnesota. He seems very happy about it. Now, this was a move that I don't necessarily love for the Panthers. I know the Panthers are a team that was trying to do well by a veteran, but I think they kind of needed him to be as good as they possibly could be this season. You talk about a veteran leader in a very, very young wide receiver room. You have Xavier Legette, who's going to be the wide receiver 1, or maybe Tet McMillan. Both of these guys, first or second year guys, but you needed a vet to show them how it's done, to figure out how to be successful in the league. I think Adam Thielen was the perfect guy. Obviously, it seemed like he wanted out. He wanted to go back to Minnesota, and it's nice that they did good by one of the leaders of their team. But for a team that could have been a playoff dark horse, a potential dangerous team in a division that's really kind of murky with the Falcons and the Bucks and everybody over there not really being super dominant at the top of it. Mehrob, what do you make of this move for the Panthers side of things?
For the Panthers side of things, I mean, you're losing a guy in Adam Thielen that was kind of the veteran of your wide receiving core. I mean, like you mentioned, Xavier Legette. You have a bunch of first-round guys. You got Tatoria McMillan. I'm absolutely butchering that first name. I apologize, but I mean, you have a really young group of wide receivers, and I feel like Adam Thielen could have been a really good, just a guy that you could that could mentor some of the younger guys. This is a guy in Adam Thielen that's been around the league. He's been an All-Pro before. He's one of the better wide receiving veterans in the league. And now, instead of being in Carolina, he's joining a Minnesota Vikings squad that really, I mean, you have J.J. McCarthy, you have Justin Jefferson on one side. Jordan Addison's going to be suspended for the first half of the season. This guy in Adam Thielen that's going to make J.J. McCarthy's life really easy, I think. He's going to be a really good, really reliable guy, one of those guys that you pitch it down to on 3rd and long when you don't expect it, to just get good yardage, to get into field goal range, to get to that first down marker. across the board. I mean, it's a good move by the Vikings, and I completely understand why they did it. For the Panthers, I mean, you could think it from an outside perspective. It depends on what they think. I don't know exactly what the coaches responded to in terms of what they've said about it, but from a viewership perspective, from my perspective, I feel like it just doesn't seem like the right move, especially with a young group.
Yeah, and I think you make a lot of good points there, specifically on the Viking side of things. Jordan Addison is going to miss the first 3 weeks due to suspension. They're going to need a guy to be a wide receiver too for those beginning parts of the season, especially with a young quarterback like J.J. McCarthy, who I think is going to need a lot of success to succeed. He is in the perfect situation in Minnesota, a better offensive line than last year. You have the best wide receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. You have a really solid running back tandem with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. You have, when not suspended and healthy, Jordan Addison as your wide receiver too, TJ Hawkinson as your tight end. There's a lot to love about the skill positions, not to mention a really solid defense coached by one of the best defensive coordinators in the league in Brian Flores. Bring in Adam Thielen to be your wide receiver 2 to start, eventually transitioning to your wide receiver 3, is not only the perfect thing for J.J. McCarthy, but also the perfect thing for Adam Thielen, Nolan.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no way. This puts more pressure on JJ McCarthy, quite honestly. I think that, him moving to Minnesota now, him eventually having that honestly very good receiving core, like you said, Jefferson, Addison when he returns, and then when eventually he returns, Thielen at your third with TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, one of the most explosive and younger, quote unquote, tight ends. I mean, he really has no room to fail with an elite, with a very good O line. He is put into a very good spot right now, and McCarthy really has no room to fail. He cannot. I cannot see him failing. Maybe he's a rookie, he fails. But Thielen, going to Minnesota is great for them. Obviously, he'll be there. He's obviously been there before. He knows Minnesota like the back of his hand. He's played there for years on end. But I'm not sure exactly how many years he was there. But he was there for long enough to, gain. Obviously, everybody in Minnesota loved him when he was there, mad when he left, and I'm sure they're happy that he came back. And he's going to be a mentor. He's going to be mentoring all their guys. He's going to be mentoring, maybe JJ McCarthy, even though it's the wrong, different room. He's a quarterback receiver. He'll still be there, cheering him on. He can obviously mentor JJ Jettas. He doesn't have to because he's so good, but gives the tips and tricks. And Addison, he's just going to be Addison. He'll help Addison out the way he can. That's going to be. That receiving room is going to be really good with the addition of Thielen and seeing him leave Carolina, where he was actually thriving. He was their wide receiver 1 over there, surprisingly. And, he was great. He was Bryce Young. He was a pretty good receiver for Bryce Young last year. And, he was a great guy, great role model for a lot of those guys. And I thought this year he'd be a role model for Ted McMillan and Xavier Legette and Jimmy Horn, all those guys they got. But no, they really don't have a big mentor in Carolina anymore. They're going to have to rely on their coaching and honestly probably Bryce Young. But that's fine. They're going to be fine over there. But overall, this is, good thing to have for both teams. He can honestly – Thielen gets to return back to Minnesota. He'll probably end up retiring in a few seasons and a retire a Viking. And the Panthers, they just get more younger receivers. Honestly, they'll be fine. I think it's a win-win for both teams, honestly.
Yeah, Adam Thielen returns home, the place where he played in his NFL career, to start basically all of his years, where he went to college, where he grew up back in Minnesota. So this feels more like, hey, Carolina, I love my time here, but I'd like to go back home to retire kind of situation, which is very good that they respected his decision and let him go. The last piece of NFL news, though, as we finish up this segment here, how about Kyle Hamilton, Mehrob? 4 years, over $100 million, 87 of which is guaranteed, becomes the highest paid safety in the history of the NFL. Now, this money is absolutely deserved. He is the best safety in the NFL, and he's arguably the best defensive player in the secondary in the NFL. Outside of your pass rushers, you look at those guys in the secondary, he could be the best one, including corners. And I know that's kind of a long way to go, but when you look at the difference that he made when the Ravens finally let him play safety, real safety last season, it went from Kyle Hamilton and that Ravens defense being one of the teams that could be passed upon the most to being one of the best defenses, one of the top 3 defenses in the league down the stretch. Kyle Hamilton is very, very special, Mehrob. This is a massive contract, and I honestly think despite its huge price tag, it's worth every single penny and more.
It really is. I mean, Kyle Hamilton's one of the best. You mentioned it, safeties in the league. I think he is. I'm right there with you. I think he's the best safety in the league. He's one of the best secondary players in the league, probably behind maybe Micah Fitzpatrick, maybe. But I mean, he's one of the best in terms of his length, his athleticism, his ability to track the ball. He uses his athleticism and his IQ to like perfection. He maximizes his skill to the best of his ability. And honestly, it pays dividends on the field. When it shows when he got injured, I forget which week he got injured last year. But regardless, it was night and day on that backline defense when teams were going deep down the field. It was night and day when he was on versus when he was off. I thought for a second you were going to say he's the best safety of all time, and I don't know if he's that. I don't think he's Ed Reed, but in today's NFL, he's definitely the best safety in the league. And of course, it would be on the Ravens where Ed Reed used to play.
Yeah, I don't know if I go that far, Mehrob. There's been a lot of great safeties in the history of the NFL, but at least in 2025, he is the best safety in the NFL. Nolan, this is still a massive contract. Like, it's $100 million for a safety. We talk about a safety market that really exploded last season for the first time. Xavier McKinney gets a big contract with the Packers, and now we cross into the triple digits over there with this contract from the Ravens and Kyle Hamilton. Is it worth it? What do you think here?
Absolutely. There was no reason. I mean, obviously he was going to get paid. I didn't really see him getting $100 million, but seeing that money, I honestly, quite frankly, wasn't surprised. I mean, he was quite frankly, obviously, he's not only the Ravens' best defensive player, but honestly, the NFL's best safety, best free deep safety, whatever you want to. He's the best DB in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. He's a ball. He's not, he doesn't get a lot of interceptions. He had one pick last year. It doesn't matter. He hits hard. He makes tackles, especially in the open field. He makes a lot of great tackles in the open field, which is what safeties are meant to do, and he's reliable. He makes plays when needed to, and he's a hard hitter. And especially with this backfield now, not backfield, secondary, including, Jair Alexander and Marlon Humphrey, this Ravens secondary is going to be scary. They were scary last year, but now with this money, with this new and improved, Kyle Hamilton, are going to be lethal. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe this is finally the year the Ravens can finally break, through the AFC just because how good their defense, their secondary is. They are going to be good, and this is a year I could see them make a very legit Super Bowl push just with the secondary.
This is definitely one of the best defenses in the league, but we'll have to see how it goes. The Ravens may be the best team on paper in the entire NFL with that defense, with that signing. You'll just have to find out next when we go through our NFL tiers. That's coming up next here on the Triple Threat Show. Welcome back to the Triple Threat Show. We are your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. If you're just tuning in, you missed our big wrap around the NFL. We talked about Kyle Hamilton. We talked about Micah Parsons. We talked about Adam Thielen. Now we take a look at every single NFL team in our NFL tiers. It's the beginning of our power rankings-ish segment here. I put every single NFL team into a bunch of tiers, going from awful all the way to Super Bowl contenders. Now, I will say there is only one team that currently sits in that awful tier, and I'll open the floor to you guys before we move on to the bad tier and move on. The awful tier consists of the New Orleans Saints, and maybe I'm being a little harsh on the New Orleans Saints here, but maybe I'm not. We didn't talk about in our last segment the fact that Spencer Rattler officially won the job today from one Tyler Shuck. The rookie second rounder is not going to be the starter, but when you look at their preseason numbers, they were basically identical. There wasn't too much difference between the two of them. It goes to the guy with a little bit more NFL experience, which I don't necessarily hate or disagree or think is a bad call, but when you look at this Saints room as a whole, everything about this team just seems like it's set up for failure, and because of that, they are the only team that I firmly expect to be in the race for the number one overall pick this season.
Not crazy. I think they're just going to be horrible. I mean, respectfully, I think the fact that Spencer Rattler won the QB room one, I think that's why they're going to be so bad. I mean, there's no disrespect to Spencer Rattler, but he's just not an NFL starter. He really isn't. I'd rather start the rookie, see how he plays it out, and if he plays bad, you put in Spencer Rattler for a game or two, let him try to give Tyler a minute or two, a few games to kind of recuperate, get back into the game, and then bring him back in. But Spencer Rattler he hasn't been a good quarterback. He wasn't good for the Saints last year, and I don't think he'll be good again this year. I think just him winning the quarterback battle in general is the reason they're going to be so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Nolan. Honestly, this might be a little bit of a hot take, but the Saints could be the team that goes 0-17 this year. Like, I don't love Spencer Rattler. He hasn't really had very many flashes in his first year. That defense lost Marshawn Lattimore last year in a trade. I mean, it's a mess. It is a mess in New Orleans. You're losing Chris Olave. Will probably have another concussion, unfortunately, for the 10th time. The Tua Tagovailoa of the wide receivers. Like, it's a mess in New Orleans, and there's nothing good things to say about it. So honestly, they belong as the lone and sole awful team in the NFL.
Yeah, I didn't want to be mean to the Saints, but I think they are pretty clearly below the rest of the teams. Now, that's not to say they're going to be the only bad team, because there are a couple teams that I think are going to be bad. The Jets, for instance, with Justin Fields, that offense has consistently looked awful in the preseason. Even when they have their starters out there, they just don't look that good. The Colts with Daniel Jones, you can't trust that offense. I like Lou Anarumo as their new defensive coordinator, but it's not going to matter if you can't put up points. The Browns, Shedeur Sanders is not going to start games because Shedeur Sanders is worse than Joe Flacco by a pretty large margin. He's not going to start games for a while. We'll have that conversation another day, but they're going to be bad. The Titans are a really interesting situation because they were awful last year. Obviously, they landed the number one overall pick, but they have Cam Ward now. That defense, when healthy, is pretty solid. You talk about a bunch of guys that could really step up. L'Jarius Sneed in the secondary. On the offense, you have Cam Ward, you have Tony Pollard, you have Calvin Ridley, who people forget how good he was just a couple of seasons ago. He's still got a little bit of that in him, despite him being, not the same elite wide receiver that he was before. And rounding out that bad tier, it's going to be the New York Giants. As much as I hate to say it, this is a Giants team that is going to be really good defensively, especially on that defensive line. It's going to be a top 3 defensive front in the NFL. But the offense, I just don't believe in. So they round out that bad tier there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hop in first. The Jets, I would not mind if they were in the awful tier as well. They're pretty bad. Justin Fields has been atrocious through training camp, hasn't looked good in the preseason action. I mean, you still got Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner. but I mean those positions, those skill positions do not make a team, and especially when you're lacking a decent quarterback to throw the rock, you're looking at a really tough team over there. So yeah, that would either bad or awful, something like that. Other than that, the next team I'm going to bring up, Jeremy, and I don't want to do it to you, but I mean, the Giants' offense is like, come on. The Giants need to figure out their QB situation. They have the equivalent of the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, running the two quarterback set with Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, and this time Russell Wilson is part of the same thing as last year. So I mean, you're looking at this Giants team. Yes, their defense might look good on paper, but we haven't seen them. They're pretty young, and that offense is atrocious mediocre at best. I wouldn't say atrocious at best. That's too mean. The Colts, I think the rest of the teams are fine. The Colts actually, I might put it at the meh territory. I mean, that offense isn't too bad. Daniel Jones is throwing it, but you have Jonathan Taylor, you still have Michael Pittman Jr. and Josh Downs on both sides. That defense is still decent. I mean, you still have DeForest Buckner there as well. I mean, I like that defense. It's not too bad. So across the board, I could put the Colts at the meh territory, but that's me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't disagree with a single one. Honestly, the Jets, they're gonna be the Jets. They really haven't been good in a few years now, and even with the addition of, Justin Fields, nothing much is gonna change. New head coach and Aaron Glenn, though, that could be their biggest upside. The Jets obtaining Aaron Glenn will be the biggest thing that they have going for them because their strong suit is their defense. He's a defensive center coordinator. He could improve them, in my opinion, maybe from bad to meh, but still not going to be that good of a team overall. The Colts, they do have Tyler Warren. We cannot forget the best tight end in the draft got taken by Indianapolis with a very calm and collected quarterback like Daniel Jones is in the pocket with a good offensive line. I think they could be that connection could be good. That could definitely prove to be better, but they're still not going to be that good of a team. The division, the AFC South, is pretty weak itself, so that's where they can get a majority of their wins, but they still won't be that good of a team. The Browns, I don't know. I really don't. They just signed Myles Garrett. Joe Flacco's coming back. They were pretty good when Joe Flacco was there a few years ago. Won about 8-9 games, but no playoff team. They'll be bad again, unfortunately. Even though they just won't be good again. Titans could be weird. Cam Ward, first round pick. Calvin Ridley, first overall. I mean, they have a lot of talent on the offense side of the ball. Defense, not so much. So they're going to be bad. And then the Giants. Yeah, it's the Giants. They have Malik Neighbors. That's all they got Malik Neighbors. I mean, congratulations. They're bad.
They got Abdul Carter. They got a decent defense.
Abdul Carter got manhandled in the preseason.
Oh, it was one rep. It was one rep.
That one rep is going to stay.
He still got pancaked in that. He got clipped in that.
Okay, but you're right.
Y'all are harping on it too much. He's going to use this as fuel. We're gonna be in an Abdul Carter cut up, and then he's gonna.
We're gonna be like. We're gonna be in 5 years, and there's edits of Abdul Carter. There's put this clip in there, and be like, yeah, they're talking so bad on this guy. Look at him now. It's like first ballot Hall of Famer. Like these guys were hating on him. Yeah, I am.
Look, just don't come kicking and screaming to me when he wins Defensive Player of the Year this year. Or Defensive Rookie of the Year this year. Excuse me.
He probably will. He'll gain experience. He realistically most likely will. He's a good player. He just got, it's that one L click was funny. But they have a good interior D line. The Giants do. Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter. Their defensive line can be pretty solid. But just overall, just not a good team.
Yeah, I'll say the only one that I really thought about moving into the meh category was the Titans because there is some talent there. But at the end of the day, I don't think Brian Callahan should be a head coach in the NFL. So I think that's going to hold them back a lot more than people are expecting. So we'll just have to see what happens because Cam Ward could be very special. But getting into the meh tier, this is the biggest tier of them all. There are 9 teams that I put in this tier. That is a third of the NFL right there. I've got all of the teams that you guys want me to talk about. The Seahawks, the Vikings, these 2 teams with Sam Darnold. I know, Mehrob. I know. I'm putting the Seahawks in meh here. You talk about an elite defense. They're going to have an elite defense. That's the only thing that is keeping them out of the bad tier, if I'm being completely honest with you. They have the second worst offensive line in the NFL, paired with a quarterback that can't handle pressure. Despite all the weapons they have, That's just not a recipe for success right there. The Seahawks very firmly in meh. The Vikings as well. We talked about everything going on with J.J. McCarthy, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a learning and growing year for him. Despite him being in the best situation he could possibly be in, he's not going to have a lot of success this year. The Steelers, they're just always meh, right? That's just the Steelers. They add Aaron Rodgers, they'll still be meh. The Cardinals, who knows what's going on with them? Kyler Murray has only had one winning season as the starting quarterback over there. I don't really know what to make of this Cardinals team. Same thing with the Dolphins. This is a Dolphins team that if Tua was healthy, you could see him bumping up into that good tier. But Tua isn't always a guy you can count on to be healthy, and all of the off-the-field issues with Tyreek Hill scare me a little bit with this Dolphins team, not to mention their lack of a secondary at all. Not a good spot to be. The Patriots, Mehrob, also in this meh tier. I know you were talking all day about the Patriots on the show yesterday, but this is a Patriots team that I just don't really think is going to win the AFC East, or is a Patriots team that is really a lock for the playoffs here. The Bears also with Caleb Williams, I think they're going to be better, but I think there's going to be 1 year in between them going to the playoffs and between this year and them going to the playoffs. The Panthers and the Raiders at the top. I'm really counting on the quarterback upgrade slash, keep on getting better in a system. With the Panthers, it's Bryce Young. I like them getting Ted McMillan, although the loss of Adam Thielen definitely hurts a lot here. And the Raiders, they've got all the pieces they need to win. The defense isn't quite there, but Geno Smith, arguably a top 10 quarterback. You have Ashton Genty, who's arguably a top 10 running back. You have, Jacoby Myers, who's incredibly underrated. Brock Bowers, the number 1 tight end in the NFL. All of these things make this team arguably in the good tier, but I'm not quite ready to go there because I don't trust that defense enough. The biggest tier, the meh tier, that's where you see the middling teams, and I think it makes the most sense to be the largest one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, your list is this med list is honestly good, very good actually. The only one I can really see moving like really badly is I think the Dolphins are going to be awful this year. I think the Dolphins are going to be just horrible unless Tua stays healthy. The Dolphins will win like 5 games. But other than that, I agree with you a lot. I think the Seahawks could maybe be good if Cooper Kupp plays like he used to, if he has, a little bit, gets his spark back. I mean, Kupp and JSN's a pretty good, wide receiver 1 and 2. But Sam Darnold, yeah, he can't handle pressure. They got no O-line. Their defense just isn't – they got Witherspoon, but, I mean, their defense and offense combined just can't, they're not going to win. They're winning a playoff game. The Vikings, like I said earlier, J.J. McCarthy, I don't know if he can handle it. I think he's going to be, he's in the perfect spot. I just don't think he's going to be able to hack it this year. I think they'll still be a good team, just not like they were last year. Steelers have a great defense, mediocre offense. That's all I'm going to say about that. They're going to be an elite defense like they were last year for the past 5 years, and a very mediocre offense. Maybe with the addition of DK Metcalf, maybe that'll change. But, I mean, I'm not sure. I think they'll just have a really good defense. Somehow make the playoffs and lose in the first round again. The Cardinals, I haven't heard a lick about the Cardinals. I honestly, there's just nothing going on in Arizona. Kyler Murray, like you said, he's an elite quarterback. He won the Heisman. He's a great quarterback. He's just super. His only issues is height. That's the only problem he has. They really just don't have a lot of weapons. Their defense isn't, elite. They have good players on offense. They have James Conner, who's getting a little older. But they still have, solid players who can win them games. But just like, I mean, the NFC West is pretty competitive. Niners, Rams, Seahawks. I mean, it's going to be a good division. They'll probably end up last in the division again. The Dolphins, I said, they'll be horrible, in my opinion. Patriots, they could be mad. They could be good, actually. Drake May's going to be solid this year. Travion Henderson coming in as a rookie. Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, that's a really good running back room. Their defense is honestly probably I think their defense will be better than their offense. Their defense has been solid. Their best side of the ball for the past 2 seasons. And I think that's going to stay the same way. I think their defense has always been pretty solid. And it's going to be like that again this year. Bears, I hate the Bears. So I'm saying they're going to be awful. That's my bias. I don't like the Bears. But I can't say that. They'll be solid. Caleb Williams, coming in under a new head coach, Ben Johnson. The best offensive mind in the NFL. But like we all saw the training camp video, he made a lot of mistakes in training camp. Can't hit open receivers, overthrow, underthrow, interceptions. I mean, he just couldn't seem to get it done. He has great weapons over there, though. He's got a better offensive line. He's got Colson Loveland. He's got some great talent, but I just don't think they'll be able to hack it. I think they'll probably be like a 7-win team this year, even with that talent. And the Panthers losing Thielen will definitely affect their overall team, but they'll still be a good team in my opinion. And then the Raiders with the addition of Geno Smith, I think, and Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, they could be honestly. I think they could not win, but I think they can honestly probably take the second seed in the AFC West. I think they can maybe overcome the Chargers if they play their cards right and get the second seed.
Nolan, good analysis on the Raiders, Panthers, Cardinals, Steelers, Bears. Those 5 deserve to be in the Met category. Vikings, I can argue to be moved wherever. So good, stay in meh. Dolphins, I agree with you. Dolphins should go to bad. Their defense got worse. They added Micah Fitzpatrick, but their defensive line got horrifically worse. Tua Tagovailoa can't stay healthy. They don't have Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill looks like he's about to jump off the ship and go start streaming. And across the board, this Dolphins team just does not look good at all. So, I mean, that's all I got to say with the Dolphins. I'm fine with them being in bad. If you guys want me to start talking about the Seahawks, get me started now because this nonsense needs to stop.
Give me the Seahawks, man. Tell me how wrong I am.
You're wrong because how is their offensive line that bad? They draft Greg Zabel in the first round. Charles Cross is getting better. Sam Darnold is good under a defensive line. They're going to run the ball a lot with Kubiak as our offensive coordinator. They got Cooper Kupp. They have JSN on both sides. And I didn't even mention their defense. I didn't even get to that part where they're possibly the best secondary in the league. They have Dexter Lawrence. They have DeMarcus Lawrence now with Leonard. I can't remember his first name. Big time Leonard on the front line. Across the board, Nwosu is still there. Across the board, this is a Seahawks defense that got better. And honestly, probably one of the best teams in the NFC West, if not the best team in the NFC West. Patriots. All I have to say is if you guys want me to go I'm not going to go too deep into that one because I posted a video for 47 minutes talking about it.
Yeah, if you want to check out Mehrob's thoughts on the Patriot, great video out last night on the Triple Threat YouTube channel. Everybody should go check that out.
Go there, plug. But, I mean, Patriots winning 10, 11 games and winning the AFC East. That's all I got to say. Put them in the good category. That's all I have to say.
I love it. I will say, I think a couple of those are hot takes, but this is why we have these conversations, Mehrob. We get to tally these up at the end of the year, and you get to see how right I was and how wrong you were at the end of it. I love it. No, I do see your point, especially with the Seahawks. That defense, like I said, is elite. But at the end of the day, I don't trust Sam Darnold, and I think he's going to bring this team down to below 500, and that's just going to hurt them. Patriots, I just don't think they're there yet. I think there's a lot to like about that team, but the defense, while it got a lot better, and the offense, while it got a lot better, you're getting a lot better from a team that won, 4 games last season? It's not going to skyrocket to 10 games magically. I just don't see that. But Vrabel?
My with the Titans. Took them to the number 1 seed in the AFC with Derrick Henry.
They had the greatest running back in this generation.
You had prime Derrick Henry. You had AJ Brown. Rookie AJ Brown, who was in his prime catching his signature deep balls off of play action when the whole box got pulled in. Ryan Tannehill slinging balls, absolute beautiful rockets down the field, and an elite defense as well. There was a lot to like about that Titans team. Now, I will say, Vrabel, an excellent coach, no doubt about that. But I don't think he comes in, changes the team into a 10-win team like that. I do think they're going to be closer to 500, but I don't think they're quite going to get to that 10-win mark like you say. But we will see. Let's get into the good tier here. There's only 3 teams in this good tier, and this tier to me is the teams that are going to be fighting for a wild card spot, the teams that are going to be in the tiebreakers for a wild card spot, the teams that are just barely going to miss out on the playoffs. I've got 3 teams here: the Packers, the Jaguars, and the Broncos. These 3 teams are all going to be very good for very different reasons. The Broncos, their defense, elite. Bo Nix is going to lead a better offense than any of these teams in the Met category with elite defenses. The Jaguars have a new offensive-minded head coach with Liam Cohen now at the helm. We saw what he did with Baker Mayfield over there. 40 touchdowns. He had never thrown more than 30 touchdowns. Imagine what he can do with a better quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Now, the Packers, I know that was a little bit of a hot take, but
That's crazy. That's unreal.
That was a little bit of a hot take there, but the Packers here, I think they're good. If they get Micah Parsons, they jump right up a tier into the playoff, maybe even the Super Bowl contender tier. Now they're not getting Micah Parsons, and there's things to be worried about this team with. I don't know if Jordan Love really is that guy yet. He's been paid like that guy, but we don't know if he's that guy for sure. So that is why I have those three teams in the good but not quite playoff tier yet.
I'll take it first. First off, the Trevor Lawrence take is actually that's just crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That had me, I'm distraught. I'm emotionally distraught because of that. No, but I mean, if you swap their roles, if you put Trevor Lawrence in Tampa and you put Baker Mayfield in Jacksonville, I think the two teams would be completely different. I think Baker Mayfield did great with teams that he was on that had no talent. The Browns for the later end of his Brown years. The few stint of weeks he had with the Panthers. I mean, he was winning games with the Panthers where he had no talent, respectfully, no talent. And Trevor Lawrence, I mean, yeah, he didn't have that much talent around him in Jacksonville. He never really has. Yeah, he had a few, early round picks, but he didn't really have, elite talent. And I think if he went to Tampa, I just don't think he'd still be that good. Maybe, that's just my opinion. I think that the roles would be honestly like completely reversed. But whatever. Jaguars, I can see why it's that. Obviously you just got Travis Hunter, two-way animal, two-way dog, whole new head coach. The offense is going to be good. I'm just not sure if they'll be good. I think I'd move them down to the Met tier. I think they definitely will be a better team, especially like I said earlier with a really weak AFC South. Not a good division. Besides the Texans, who honestly you've choked away the playoffs the past few years, who just can't seem to hold on to it. I think they can easily sink their way in, but I can see why I put them in good. The Broncos, their defense, they have the best defense in the league, and their offense is going to keep getting better. Bo Nix, he had his first year last year basically, and this year he's ready to come back. He's ready to come back in a very, very hard AFC West, and I think I think they could win the AFC West. I really do believe that. I think their defense is so well-rounded and such a well-rounded offense as well that they could possibly win that. And then the Packers, I'm not even sure about the Packers. Yeah. If they get Micah Parsons, they will most definitely be in a higher tier. But even if they don't, I think their defense is still good, just not good enough to move it up a tier. And their offense is the same. It's good, but not good enough to be in a higher tier. So, yeah, I think those three are good. Besides, maybe the Jaguars can move down the Met. But other than that, I think it's a really good list.
I mean, outside of the Jaguars, I don't think the other two teams. I've said this off stream how much I like the Broncos, how much I don't think Bo Nix is going to have a sophomore slump, and how much I think that Broncos defense is going to be a reason why they win the AFC West. The Jaguars, I think, stay. I just don't know how good the Jaguars are going to be. They could sneak into the playoffs, but they're a weird team. It depends on how BTJ does, Brian Thomas Jr. does, Travis Hunter, how he ends up playing in real season play, and then of course how Trevor Lawrence handles everything else on the offensive side. Travis Etienne as well. That's an entire mess with him and Bigsby at the running back competition. Whatever the case may be, that's a weird team that we have no idea what happens. The Broncos, like I said, playoff team, move them to good. Or playoff, put them in the playoff category. For the Packers side of things, I'm kind of rolling with the analysts here. I really like the Packers. I mean, Jordan Love, I think, is one of the more slept on quarterbacks across the league. Jaden Reed is a very, very underrated wide receiver, in my opinion, with him and Romeo Doubs on both sides. You have Josh Jacobs in the backfield. You get Matthew Golden with your first-round pick. You pick up Mecole Hardman, and you might get Micah Parsons on that defensive line. Yeah, you lose Jair Alexander, but I mean, across the board, this is a really good Packers team, and I see a lot of promise. I know Matt LaFleur is a good head coach, especially in the regular season. His playoff reputation might be questionable. I get it. But his regular season, he's pretty good. So I'm rolling with the Packers to win the North as well, and I got them sitting in the playoff category as well.
I love it. I love it. I understand your guys' hesitation on the Jaguars because that defense, if I just describe it in one word, it would be atrocious. It's a very bad defense. But you take the good with the bad there, Mehrob, for sure.
I still get what you said. Baker and Trevor like comparable.
I stand by it. I think Trevor, pound for pound, is a better quarterback.
That's unbelievable. I mean, yeah, you could make that argument. I just don't think it's in my opinion. I just think it's I've never even heard that comparison in my life. I was just like thrown back by it, but I could see it, I guess.
We'll find out. We'll find out this season. This is the make or break year for him. He's been paid, so there's not much they can do. But this is what we've been waiting for, guys. There's 2 tiers left, the playoff tier and the Super Bowl contenders tiers. Now, this playoff tier, these are teams that I expect to either be division winners that aren't quite Super Bowl contenders or wild card-ish teams. I'm going to start from the bottom. The Bengals would be Super Bowl contenders if they had a defense. They don't have a defense, unfortunately, so instead, they just have to sit here in the playoff tier because that offense is going to be so good. Now, I could also see them moving down a tier, which is why they're at the bottom of this tier. The 49ers, very similarly, they're dealing with injuries. A lot of it depends on how those injuries end up. Is Christian McCaffrey going to stay healthy? Are they going to get some of those receivers back? We don't know, but if they do, they'll be a playoff team. If not, move them down a tier. The Bucs and the Falcons also in the playoff tier. I think there's only one of those teams that's going to make the playoffs. It's just whoever wins that division, and I think they're pretty much neck and neck. So because of that, they're both in this tier. The Texans, very interesting. The worst offensive line in all of the NFL right there in Houston, but the best defense in all of the NFL is right there in Houston. You have a very, very different 2 sides of the ball team, and they found a way to win a playoff game each of the 2 years that CJ Stroud has been there, so no reason to doubt them now. The Cowboys, asterisk, with Micah Parsons. That is the asterisk, right? If he's there, they're a playoff team. If not, we drop him 2 tiers, actually, to the meh side of things. That is how important he is to this team. The Chargers, they're getting Najee Harris back. He's practicing. Keenan Allen returns. Lots to like about this team. The defense, I think, might take a little bit of a step back, but Justin Herbert and this offense is going to take a step forward. And rounding out that playoff tier, I've got your Detroit Lions, Nolan. This is a team that I don't quite think is there at the Super Bowl contender tier, but I think is a lock for the playoffs, potentially even the 1 seed in the NFC.
Run it back. Nah, I kind of hope, the Lions get the bye week, and 1 seed again. I wouldn't be mad. Don't get me wrong, but we had it last year. And we lost in the first round, so maybe it's just bad luck. Maybe it's just because we just played maybe because we played bad. Maybe I just don't want it again. I'm not sure, but yeah, this is a really good list. The asterisk is I was gonna say I would move the Cowboys if to good, maybe even meh if without Parsons, but yeah, asterisk with him there. Absolutely, they're a playoff team. The Bengals, they really have without Trey Hendrickson, they definitely wouldn't be in the playoffs, in my opinion. But with him, they still have Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins. Their offense still has so many weapons. I'd just be surprised if they manage to miss the playoffs. I think the Steelers will. I think the entire AFC North will make the playoffs, besides the Browns, they always manage to do. But yeah, this list is honestly, I really don't have much to say. I think this list is perfect for the playoff. Yeah, I really don't have much to say about it. I think it'll be perfect. Najee Harris coming to the Chargers, actually him playing, that'll be a huge help. But even if he doesn't play, Marion Hampton's going to step up, in my opinion. I think he'll step up and get it all done. So, yeah, I think that list is honestly just perfect.
Yeah, low-key, this might come as a shock, but I might have more hot takes in the playoff category than I do the mech category, which I didn't even think was possible. But Lions, I'm fine with. Straight off the bat, Nolan's favorite team, I'm fine with them. They're a great team, both sides of the ball. They lost Ragnow, lost Carlton Davis, but I think they still have a lot of good pieces there. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs is the best running back in the league. That's my hot take for that one. Chargers need to get out of category. Chargers, I'm sorry, hot take on number 1. Chargers need to be moved to good. They haven't done too much. Justin Herbert's not running with too many weapons. Ladd McConkey's there. Josh Palmer is there. But outside of him, you don't have a lot. You lose Mike Williams. You get Keenan Allen back. You lose a lot of pieces on the defense, and I don't like that defense too much very well. I just don't have a lot of hopes for the Chargers personally. Cowboys also a good team. I think not a playoff caliber team, especially with their schedule this year. I just think they're struggling on both sides of the ball. Didn't address that offense, and losing Micah Parsons is a big issue. Texans. Yes, they added Daniil Hunter. Yes, they still have Derek Stingley Jr., who's one of the most underrated cornerbacks in the league. But how are you going to sit there and say the Texans have one of the best defenses in the league and put them in playoff, and then put the Seahawks in meh, when they have equally good defenses?
I'll tell you exactly why, man. One of them has a top 10 quarterback in C.J. Stroud, and the other one has Sam Darnold.
That's fair. Yeah.
One of them has okay. They both have bad offensive lines.
Yes, they do.
So,
I think they're the two worst offensive lines in the league.
True. On offense, I really like. Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb. You add Nick Chubb as a backup, really looks like it's going to pay dividends for you. Nico Collins, I think, is a top 5 receiver, maybe top 10 receiver in the league, not top 5, but one of the better receivers in the league. So I'm fine with. I think they're probably on the verge of playoff and good. I can't tell yet. Falcons, Bucks. I'm fine with them being in playoffs. Niners need to be in meh. Niners lost so much on that defensive side of the ball. It's pretty much just Fred Warner and Nick Bosa on that side of the ball. Lost Hufanga, lost a bunch of pieces on the defense. I really just don't have a lot of hope in that side. The offense is a mess as well. Juwan Jennings wants a trade. Brock Purdy, across the board. CMC still good. So I'd probably either put them in good or meh. And then the Bengals are fine. So that's just my takes on that. I'm being hard and sound harsh, but I'm not trying to sound harsh.
Give me the death stare over here on some of my takes, and I love it. But no, let's finish off this list here, boys. We have 6 teams that I consider to be able to raise the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the season. If one of these 6 teams do not win the Super Bowl, we'll think of something and we'll put it on the YouTube channel as a punishment. That's your boys' job. You gotta think of something that I have to do. But we'll do something. These are the 6 teams. One of these 6 teams will win the Super Bowl this season. At number 6, the 6th highest chance to win the Super Bowl, it's the Washington Commanders. Now, this one might sound a little bit out there, and I understand, but Jaden Daniels in year 2 is only going to get better. You have a defense that has absolutely improved. Deebo Samuel for the short game with Terry McLaurin to stretch the field. I like the move at running back, moving off of B-Rob, getting over to Bill Krosky Merritt and a bunch of those other guys. You still have a guy in Chris Rodriguez who can take over those short yardage areas. It's going to be tough, I think, in a tougher schedule. But year 2 under Jaden Daniels, I think this is the year that they could potentially make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Number 5, it's the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this one also has a little bit of an asterisk, contingent on Matthew Stafford being healthy. Matthew Stafford makes this team into arguably the best team in the NFC. Without Matthew Stafford, you can take him out of the Super Bowl category and you can put him all the way down in the meh category. That is a huge fall for them because Matthew Stafford is a top 8, top 7 quarterback in the NFL. That is as big of a difference as you're going to see. If he is healthy and if he can play this year, they are a real threat to win the Super Bowl. The Bills, of course, Josh Allen, reigning MVP, they are going to potentially win the Super Bowl this year. They have all of the talent. I really like the moves they made. The Eagles just won the Super Bowl. Why couldn't they do it again? Sure, they lost a little bit defensively, but that doesn't mean they're still not as good just about everywhere else. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. They're the Chiefs. They've been to the Super Bowl 4 straight years. No one can stop them. Somebody stop them. It's not going to happen this season. The Chiefs, number 2 odds to win the Super Bowl. And the team that I have winning the Super Bowl, the Baltimore Ravens. They are the best team on paper. They have one of the best defenses in the league. We talked about it when we talked about Kyle Hamilton in the last segment. Lamar Jackson, the 2nd best quarterback in the league, just behind Patrick Mahomes. The weapons continue to get better and better and better every single year. I love this Ravens team. The Commanders, Rams, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, and Ravens, one of those 6 teams will be your Super Bowl champion.
Put the lines in there, and then I'll be correct. My opinion. Nah, I'm joking. But I mean, obviously, I'm gonna say that. But no, I mean, yeah, Commanders, they're gonna be great. I mean, if they make it out of the NFC, which obviously the NFC Championship last year, Eagles versus Commanders, it's like 41-0. I mean, you can't really. I mean, if they make it out of the NFC, they have a chance. But they have to get past the Eagles first, or honestly, the Rams. I mean, it's NFC is a lot harder than it was last year, and it's gonna be rough. But the Commanders can definitely do it. Obviously, they have Jaden Reed, Jane Daniels. Sorry, Jane Daniels. Obviously, re-signed Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, Brissett. I mean, they have so much offensive talent, and the defense actually made improvements. So yeah, they can definitely be better. And the Rams, yeah, if Stafford plays, if he's healthy, they are a contender. I think that even if he doesn't play, and I think if Stenson Bennett starts or whoever their backup is, I think it'll be a good team still. They still have Devontae Adams. They still have Puka Nacua. They still have Kyron Williams. They still have Tyler Higbee. They still have good players, but yeah, if Stafford doesn't play and if it's Bennett playing quarterback, I think there's enough weapons there for a older quarterback. Even if he doesn't have a lot of NFL experience, he's been in the league and he played at Georgia when he was like 25 years old. He's a pretty old quarterback. He has experience, so I think they could be a good team. It wouldn't be. In my opinion, I don't think they'd be a Met team. The Bills, it's the Bills. They'll find their way in there. I mean, they've just been dominant the past few years. They just can't seem to get over the AFC Championship hump. They can't beat the Chiefs. And I think honestly this year it'll still be like that. I think they're just no matter how good of a team they are, they will always lose to the Chiefs. It's just how it is for them. Eagles, I think the Eagles might be have a little down year. Yeah, they lost some talent, but Saquon Barkley is due for a down year, and maybe it's this year, even behind a very good offensive line. They have the tush push still. They have AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They still have all those offensive weapons, but I think that maybe Saquon has a down year, and maybe it affects the team in a pretty drastic way. The Chiefs, it's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. And the Ravens, you have Lamar Jackson. In my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL, just pure athleticism. He's fast, quick, elusive. He can do it all. Plus, with this new, fully revamped defense, I wouldn't say revamped, fully just brand new, paid out, fully ready to go defense with Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Zay Flowers, and yes, you have the tight end who lost you the game against the Bills and Mark Andrews, but still a good tight end. They're going to be a great team. I think this is the year that Ravens get out of the AFC and make it host the Lombardi. I think it's their year. I agree with you.
Funny, it seems we're all in agreement about the Ravens here. I mean, I'm right there with you. I think the Ravens, I said it last year, and they were a 2-point conversion away from being in the AFC Championship game. Seriously, the Ravens are that good of a team, and they added Jair Alexander. I think they're the team to beat in the AFC, and I mean they're just that good. I honestly, I would not mind seeing the Lions in this category. It's not the biggest thing for me. It's not a big deal, honestly, at all. I seriously think so. Wouldn't matter to me. The only Eagles, Bills, I'm iffy on, but we'll see how. I'm fine with them being Super Bowl. Rams, the only team, and I know Jeremy knows I was going to say this the second I started talking. We've talked about this off camera. I just don't see it with the Chiefs this year. I don't. Yes, they have the best quarterback in the league. Yes, they have the quarterback that's been to 7 or 8 straight AFC Championship games and
never missed one. Never
missed one. And his worst playoff outcome is losing in the AFC Championship game, and it's only happened twice. I mean, this year it's due. Every quarterback has it. Every year, every quarterback has a bad year. I mean, this is the Chiefs offense that is kind of just leaving Mahomes out there to dry. You have Worthy, but he doesn't seem like he's ready yet. He didn't have very many flashes last year. Rashee Rice is going to be out for the first 6 weeks. That defense definitely got worse. You lost Tyrann Mathieu to retirement. The offensive line it's good. It's not great. I mean, across the board, it's just you still have Frank Clark. You still have, you have a great. It just doesn't seem like you have a great defensive line. That is the one thing I'll say. You have a great quarterback and you have a great defensive line. Outside of that, you have problems in every single category. Even the running back category with Pacheco's decent. Like I don't like this Chiefs team. I think this is the most beatable Chiefs team there's been since Mahomes became a quarterback in the NFL. So I have him sitting in the playoff.
You mentioned one thing I want to say about though. You said Mahomes is due for a bad year. I think his bad year was last year. Statistically, his worst year was last year, and I think there's no way he can get worse than that. I mean, he still had a great year for quarterback for his standards. It was horrible, but he still. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have as many weapons, but it never really stopped him in the past. He still has Travis Kelce, who obviously just got engaged. Maybe that'll help him out a little bit.
Shout out Travis Kelce.
Oh, Travis Kelce, man. Shout out Killer Trav. But I mean, I think his bad year, what he was due for, was last year, and I think that this could be his comeback year. Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of other topics. And everything else, actually, I completely agree with. But I think the one thing that he's not due for is another bad year. I think he'll have a great year this year with what he has.
100%. Can I say one thing? And honestly, you're 100% right. But would you agree that the teams around him, at least, especially in the division, have gotten significantly better?
Infinitely better. The Broncos' defense is the best in the NFL. Plus, with Bo Nix revamping,
stayed in the same spot, and everyone went from here to here, and possibly, if not, at their same level. So I mean, that's what makes a difference. I think.
I will say, I think you guys are right about a lot of that. But the Chiefs fixed their biggest hole in the offseason. They got a left tackle. A left tackle that, due to all reports, is going to be an absolute monster. Like we knew, because, of course, they got the best offensive tackle in the draft at 31. But regardless of that, the Chiefs still going to be amazing. Mehrob will be in charge in the next segment. The Mehrob Minute coming up next. Make sure you tune in. We'll be right back here on the Triple Threat Show. Welcome back to the Triple Threat Show. We are your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. It is time for my favorite segment of the week. Every Wednesday, Mehrob Fatemi, our host here, gets his very own minute, the Mehrob Minute here. Take it away, Mehrob.
Alrighty, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Mehrob Minute, and for this one, I'm sticking around. You guys know I'm from Boston. I've talked about the Boston Celtics. I get emotional every time I talk about the Patriots. I talk about the Seahawks, and the one thing that I always hate is the one thing I always say is never bring up the Malcolm Butler play. Never, ever. Never, ever, ever. Never talk about 2014. But let's get right into the Mehrob Minute here. That has nothing to do with it. For this one, we're actually going to be talking about the Patriots' depth chart, specifically their wide receiving room, specifically their offense as a whole. And we'll kick it off with the wide receiver room. We finally see we actually saw a couple cuts today. We saw Javon Baker, the 4th-round pick from a couple of years ago. He got cut, as well as Kendrick Bourne, the guy from San Francisco that they picked up about 3 years ago now. We saw when he came into the Patriots organization that was back in when Bill Belichick was still a head coach here. He was pretty good. He did a lot of great things, and he helped Drake May a lot on that in the wide receiver room. He was probably the best wide receiver during that time. But since then, there's been a lot of upgrades. You add Stephon Diggs. Demario Douglas has gone way better. You draft Kyle Williams. You have Kayshon Boutte. You get Mac Hollins, Efton Chisholm. Across the board, there's a lot of. You get Jalen Polk as well. Across the board, there's a lot of guys on this list that are just unfortunately around the same level. And Kendrick Bourne's, here's the problem. Kendrick Bourne's starting to go up in age, so he's starting to decline, with the rest of these younger guys starting to incline, trying to start to build their name and whatnot. So across the board, it makes sense why Kendrick Bourne was released by the Patriots earlier today. But across the board, I mean, this is a Patriots offense that's going to be really good. Drake May is probably the sleeper of the fantasy draft, probably one of the better quarterbacks. Going to be probably one of the better quarterbacks, probably top 15 quarterback in the league when it's all said and done, barring an injury. It's going to be interesting to see how Stephon Diggs does. That's what our eyes are going to be on. Kayshon Boutte, though, is going to be right on his heels for that spot. I actually really like him. He got way better. Shout out Kayshon Boutte. Efton Chisholm did really well during the training camp and preseason as well. Had, 12 catches for almost 200 yards. Had 2 touchdowns as well in 3 games. I mean, he was an absolute stud. And we remember in training camp when he had that one-handed catch that went absolutely viral. And like I mentioned, Jalen Polk had season-ending surgery on his elbow, and he'll be back next year as well. So across the board, I mean, this is a really young wide receiver room. Drake May's really young, going to be growing with these guys, and it's going to be interesting to see how Stephon Diggs does. But from there, I also want to talk really quick about that running back room. You have Ramondre Stevenson splitting off with TreVeyon Henderson. At some point, Henderson's going to end up getting the full blunt of the load over there in terms of running back carries, in terms how much usage he has throughout the game. You still have Antonio Gibson as your 3rd string guy, but I mean, I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch throughout the game. Like we've mentioned before, I think one of the guys is probably going to start in the throughout the middle of the field, and then they're going to have a touchdown puncher, as we like to call it, like a Tyler Algier kind of guy from Atlanta in Ramondre Stevenson. I think that's going to be his solidified role, and we'll just see how TreVeyon Henderson does. I mean, it's going to be really interesting. And then lastly, Will Campbell. Can we talk about Will Campbell really quick? The 1st-round pick out of LSU. He's been a stud through the preseason, and I think he's going to be a really nice player to grow with Drake May as well. This is a really young team coached by an excellent head coach in Mike Vrabel. You have 3 head coaches on this staff, including Vrabel. You have Josh McDaniels, Vrabel, and there's another. I can't remember his name at the moment, but I know there's 3. And across the board, I mean, this is just a really great team. And I didn't even get the chance to mention the defense. But this minute, we're dedicating to the offense. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? And can the Patriots win the AFC East like I say they will?
Welcome back to the Triple Threat Show. We are your hosts, Jeremy Lapidus, Mehrob Fatemi, and Nolan Jambor. Welcome back from the Mehrob Minute. We are finishing off our show here today with some baseball. Big news out of Seattle. Big dumper. Breaking, setting all of the records. The first catcher in MLB history with 50 home runs in one season and still more to come. The 28-year-old is killing it behind the plate. He is the 9th best defensive catcher according to FRV. He also has the league lead tied with Aaron Judge at 7.3 FWAR, which just how valuable are you as a player? That leads me to my first question for you guys. Cal Raleigh having the greatest catcher season in the history of baseball, a sport that goes back over 150 years. And yet some people are unsure if he should win the MVP. Is he your AL MVP? He does have some tough competition. Aaron Judge right there with him in the F4 category. Nolan, who's your MVP right now, and why is it Cal Raleigh?
Wow. So you're not giving me a choice to say Aaron Rodgers. Wow.
I'm being a bad journalist. I'm doing a leading question right now.
You can't do that. That's not how journalism works. But is it Cal Raleigh? Yeah, it probably is. I mean, obviously, home runs, big factor. He's the big dumper, he's big hitting, and he's doing it all for the Mariners. He is just doing it all for him. But not only is he the best hitter, one of the best hitters in the MLB right now, he is a brick wall behind the plate. He has just been one of the best defensive players, not only in the AL, but just in the entirety of the MLB this entire season. He has just been a great catcher. Obviously, he was an all-star. But, I mean, he's just been phenomenal on both sides of the ball. Best hitter, one of the best hitters, best defenders. I mean, he's just, like I said, he's doing it all. Will he be the AL MVP? Yeah, he probably will. I think he will. I think he'll beat out Aaron Judge. I think he's had a more productive season. He's helped a team that really no one saw being a playoff team. And I feel like now people kind of saw the Mariners being, this big in, the playoff race, or just obviously in the playoff picture, or as high as they are. And I think he obviously is the key factor of this team being where they are. So I think that he will win it, not only based off him being the better player, but how well he has actually helped his team kind of march his way up through the rankings and to where they are now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot to like about his game. The other big thing to watch here, and this might be a little bit of a stretch, the AL home run record was set back in 2022 by Aaron Judge in an insane season of just pure power over there. Cal Raleigh, with 30 games remaining, needs 13 more home runs in order to break the AL record. Is that possible, Mehrob? Is he going to be able to get that done?
Yeah, I really think so. And I mean, Kyle Raleigh's been an absolute stud for the Mariners this year, and he's been a big reason why the Mariners are in the position they're in right now. But I mean, I'm still a little bit worried that Aaron Judge could find a way to steal this one. I mean, he is the Yankees offense. He's the reason why the Yankees are still afloat in the AL playoff race. And I mean, he is still Aaron Judge. I think, to answer your question, yes, Cal Raleigh will most likely break Aaron Judge's record before, probably I'd say in the next 20 games, most likely. And yes, that sounds like one home run a game, but this is Cal Raleigh we're talking about. That is how good this guy can be, especially with how he's been hitting recently. He's been on an absolute tear across the MLB. I really think when it's all said and done, I'm just worried that Aaron Judge could find a way to steal this one, and that is the worst thing you could see out of the MLB right now with how the MVP has been handled recently.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting arguments. One of the biggest arguments that I've seen against Cal Raleigh is that his batting average is too low. Cal Raleigh right now, this MLB season, only hitting 245, which it's not the best batting average, but in this season, it's pretty close to the average. It's close to 250. People are saying we never have an MVP that hits under 250, but we also don't have a catcher that hits home runs at this pace in the history of baseball. No catcher, in fact, has ever hit 50 home runs. Only 51 players all time have ever hit 50 home runs in a season, and Cal Raleigh is amongst them with 30 games to go. He needs 13 to break the AL record. He also could potentially break Barry Bonds' record. He needs 25. Well, he needs 24 for that. That's not going to happen. That would basically be a home run per game. But I think there is a real shot. A home run every other game isn't insane. 50 home runs is a lot of home runs. He's got 50 so far through 130 games, so it's a little bit less than that one every other game. But if he gets hot here, there's a real chance that he gets it. Now, to your point, Mehrob, I think there is a good chance that Aaron Judge, because he's Aaron Judge and he does Aaron Judge level things, he wins this MVP again. But what Cal Raleigh has done, there was a reason I brought up what he does behind the plate, because catching is the hardest position defensively to play. You have to call the entire game. It's just like being a head coach in the NFL, a play caller in the NFL, right? You have to go ahead and know your opponent. You need to know where to attack your opponent so that you don't give up the hits or the pitcher doesn't give up the hits. And then also just go and turn around and hit 50 home runs. That is unheard of as a catcher. A 6 fielding run value for him. That is 9th best for all catchers. He is insane. He is my MVP unless something crazy happens down the stretch here. But the only way to forcefully guarantee an MVP for Cal Raleigh, in my opinion, is for him to get 63 home runs, which he hit 3 home runs in the last 3 games. So there's a real shot that he gets this done. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Is Cal Raleigh the MVP? What is it going to take for him to win MVP if not? And can he break the AL home run record set just 3 years ago by Aaron Judge? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning in to today's episode of the Triple Threat Show. We will be back tomorrow, not Friday, tomorrow, going over everything in college football. Make sure to tune in then everywhere you get your podcasts, on YouTube at Triple Threat Show, Twitch at 3 Threat Show, Instagram at 3 Threat Show _, and TikTok at _Triple Threat Show. Give us a follow, a subscribe. I appreciate everybody so much for tuning in. Have a good night. Bye-bye.